Welcome back to a new look at the newest game in the Battlefield series. It's Battlefield 5. This closed alpha takes place across a single map in picturesque Norway, complete with lofty peaks and snowy footpaths. It's honestly a beautifully rendered world. Though, when it was first announced, I wasn't wholly impressed with Battlefield 5 returning to the World War II era. It feels like often trodden thematic ground. We've had COD return to the same era recently, and we've even had other independent titles like Battalion 1944 produce their games in that now familiar setting. I had hoped for something slightly more modern. Perhaps Vietnam would be a novel option, with its completely different geographical location and environment. But a trip back to the dawning moments of the Battlefield saga is what we have in store. So how does it play? Well, it's Battlefield in style, there's no doubting that. Those cornerstones of fluid movement, excellent weapon handling, the best sound design in the business, honestly, and destructive environments are here again. In fact, that last one on the list has taken a solid buff compared to more recent titles. The destruction available in this Battlefield 5 closed alpha is an order of magnitude better than BF1 or even BF4 or 3. I'd say you have to go all the way back 8 years to the utterly superb Battlefield Bad Company 2 before you start seeing anything comparable. It changes your whole outlook on how you navigate around the world. Buildings are not safe. That wall you are standing next to could disappear in a second. The front of the building you are in could be prized open like a can of sardines. That distant rumble of a tank might just be your indication it's about to plough through the house you're set up in. It's honestly great to have some of that Bad Company 2 magic back in Battlefield. It's joined with modern era graphics, of course. This is the venerable Frostbite engine, and excellence is basically expected as a default position. Does it look massively better than Battlefield 1? I'd say no. It doesn't look like a generational jump forward or anything like that, but keep in mind, Battlefield 1 is a superb looking game even by today's standards. Performance was okay, this being alpha and all. I've heard some people not having a good experience though, getting some hitching, though I can't say I felt anything like that myself. Turned down some of the settings, such as shadows, one notch from the high default, and things felt smoother. But I'd imagine with day one GPU driver updates and more optimization, things will, fingers crossed, be in a better position, close to that October the 11th initial release date. One big change to more recent Battlefield titles is the focus a number of design decisions have made to force players to work together more. If you're a solo Rambo type, the first issue you're going to have is ammo. There's a severe lack of it on spawning. You literally have a couple of magazines worth. You'll need squad mates to resupply you if you're going to have an impact on the game. Reviving downed players also has some changes. Now anyone is capable of helping a fallen friend, it's just that the medic can be that much faster about it. Faster is a relative term though. If you're used to the pop revives of Battlefield 1, then they are a thing of the past. This is a locked-in animation that takes a few seconds. It's the sort of thing that gets you killed if your teammate hasn't had the decency to get shot in a safe environment. There's some work to do on this system too. The feedback on whether it's going to work or not seems lacking. There seems to be a ton of registration bugs in there as well. Also, the canned animation is at odds with that kind of fluid nature of the movement of the rest of the game. On completing, your character feels flat-footed and static in an odd way. I hope this will have a bunch more work before launch. This focus on squad play doesn't always work though. It sounds superficial, but there's a fake feeling to dropping ammo for a teammate and having their character immediately thank you for it. It's the character that thanks you, not the player themselves through a voice command. It renders the interaction as something of a fabrication. It reminded me of the old enemy territory, thanks, and you're welcome commands that people would manually use when you help them out, but with all the human interaction and kinship kind of stripped from it. Vehicles are often a contentious topic for Battlefield games. I can't be the only person to go hunting for non-vehicle maps after being mercilessly pummeled for a match. Well, in this alpha, vehicles seem to have a much reduced effect. Though whether this is due to the changes in the spotting system, it's more context sensitive and harder to spam. Think about how maybe spotting works on hardcore servers, and therefore, with those changes, vehicles don't have the intelligence information to know where to fire at all times, or whether it's simply that this map is set up with less of a vehicle focus, I don't know, Only time with the game and other maps will let us find that out. On the whole, I found the lack of vehicle farming the infantry to be a much improved situation. The weapons and loadouts are another interesting topic. Previously, if you were a medic or some other support, you might start with a small ammo pouch or med pack to litter at your teammates' feet in lust for free points. Then, once you leveled up a bit, you'd unlock a larger version like an ammo crate that you probably used from that moment forward. Well, in the Battlefield 5 Alpha, we have the concept of archetypes, sort of classes within a class, and there are trade-offs to be made to have the kit that you want to carry. For example, if you carry the smaller ammo pouches, that's the engineer archetype. You can carry the light machine guns. They are wieldy and can be fired accurately from a standing position. However, if you want the larger ammo crate, then that is the machine gunner archetype. You get the medium machine guns that require lying prone or being braced up against something to properly fire. This system is clearly not fully implemented yet. There are classes with only one archetype, and notes about more coming soon. It's an intriguing idea, and you have to wonder how progression will link up with this setup as developers look for systems to keep players entertained and unlocking new things as they progress in their time playing the game. That also turns us now to weapons, and with all other parts of this alpha it feels like there was a bunch missing, but it does give us the opportunity to talk about where Battlefield 5 is headed in regards to things like cosmetics. I did actually reinstall Battlefield 4 in preparation for this Battlefield 5 alpha test. I wanted a refresher on that Battlefield experience. One of the things that stood out was the customization of the weapons in Battlefield 4. A red dot there, a grip, a silencer, all gave ways to tune how things performed, and of course allowed for unlocking and progression. The nature of a game set in the era that Battlefield 5 is clearly doesn't have those sort of options. The weapons themselves are the usual World War II fare. There's MP40s, Kar 98s, Bren guns and so on. What with the announcement of no loot boxes and no paid DLC, there's also no Season Pass, so that's great news. You have to wonder about how they're going to drive revenues though throughout the lifespan of the game. Yes, I know this is a full AAA title with a full AAA price, but I'm wondering if that ticket price will really be enough to carry the game, 2-3 years after release. They've announced that paid cosmetics will be a thing, but we really don't have any more details than that. I obviously don't have financial numbers, but there's something about their announced plans that makes me wonder if they've mentally turned the corner on how they previously monetized this series, and direct sale paid cosmetics will be something of a learning experience for them. Seems odd to say, but perhaps the legacy of Battlefront 2 will be a sea change on how Battlefield is managed and monetized. The lack of paid DLC, and therefore avoiding a fragmented player base, will surely be celebrated and protected now that we have it back in AAA gaming. So having played the alpha for a while, am I looking forward to the game? Well, the experience is definitely Battlefield, but with a number of positive tweaks, and I like Battlefield games. Don't get me wrong though, there are still moments of bad player experience and frustration. Getting strafed by a plane is still annoying as hell, but the frequency of those moments felt much reduced compared to previous titles. I am looking forward to seeing what else is announced before release though. I want to see if the co-op combined arms experience is like as well. See if it does add to the replayability of the game with friends when you don't want to bump heads with seasoned veterans on the normal PvP servers. Would I be more excited if this game was set in another era? Honestly, I would, yes, definitely. But I'm impressed that I'm now interested in the game that when I first heard was in a World War II setting again, fell off my radar as things I was looking forward to, so that's an undoubted positive. I'm interested in what you fine folks think of the game though. What do you think about Battlefield 5? Are you excited for another BF game? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below right now and let me know. I read every single one of them. If you enjoyed watching, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It supports me and helps me grow the channel and make videos just like this one. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Take care.
Use this ammunition!
Too kind.